Hey, I'm Spyder and I'm back for part 10, okay? I remember all these takes are live takes, no retakes, so I make mistakes, I correct my mistakes my next session, okay? So how you been out there? I'm back, okay? So a couple surprises, okay? That Facebook announcement. And also on the song I did in the, on my last session, okay, the 9th session. Right at the end I made a mistake. I was saying Chant Loud in the red zone at the 100. It's so easy to get that confused and mixed up, okay, 100th, 107th, when it's coming off your tongue and you're singing. Remember I know words. Well, I didn't really look at them. I just wrote this too, by the way. I just wrote this. It's a song I had on my album, okay, Wild Spyder, The Art of the Spyder. I'm going to put up, you know, eventually on YouTube as well. And I had a song called Spyder, Spyder, Here Comes Spyder. So I just made a song out of it, Spyder's CFL Red Zone Rule song, Spyder, Spyder, Here Comes Spyder's CFL Red Zone Rule. A shorter version. But here's another announcement, a surprise. I'm going to do a longer version of it, okay, just a song, and put it up under Spyder's CFL Red Zone Rule. Well, it'll be Spyder's CFL Red Zone Rule tune, okay? That will follow too. It'll all go up on the 9th, 10th, and session on YouTube with my Facebook and the song, okay? So getting back to my 9th session, there's a few mistakes I made. I always make mistakes, right? I curved the okays a little bit, I thought. I'm trying, okay? When I was talking about John Cornish, okay? Like true Canadian, he really didn't pursue the NFL. Like I said, other CFL players, I meant to say other Canadian players, okay, are doing and have done. Okay, also, a stumble I made on talking about Ambrosi. I'll get back to that a little later. When I stumbled over my words, I was trying to piece it all together. It's so difficult, okay, to try to get everything in all at once when you have basically a timeout of 27 minutes. That's my favorite number, by the way. This will be shorter because I only have like 23 minutes, okay, on this one. So, and so I'm sorry for the speed talking and scanning of my words, and where sometimes I sort of abbreviate association when I can pronounce these words, okay? It just happens, and other words as well, because I'm under the gun on the format time of my video camera that automatically times out, as you see at the end. So I'm trying to get everything in, my whole format in. It's very difficult. And at the end also, when I was talking about the CFL combo, I meant to say powerful and impactful rather than impact on my CFL Red Zone Rule, okay? So I just want to get in now to this session, okay? So I want to talk a little bit about the importance. I want to put the Canadian ratio to bed somewhat, but I want to talk a little bit more about it before I put it to bed. That it's not selling CFL 3-down football. And it's obvious it's not selling CFL 3-down football. And if it was, and it was such a phenomenal feature and such a, like my rule, CFL Red Zone Rule, such a powerful and impactful feature, there wouldn't be all the empty seats, okay, there are in the CFL. There wouldn't be all the declining, okay, season ticket holders that are walking away from a CFL game and only watching NFL football now. And there's droves of them just leaving, like, look at the empty seats. I mean, they don't lie. It's there. So the Canadian ratio is definitely problematic, and for many reasons that I went over in my previous sessions. So many different reasons. Okay? And I just want to go back to my doc features for number 9, and this reads something I wrote down here that I couldn't get in my last session, okay? Let me find it here. The CFL is supposed to be selling entertainment, okay? excitement and entertainment, not Canadian players, sorry, and their controlling Canadian Players Association, and their controlling, handcuffing, dictating Canadian guaranteed Canadian ratio. Starting guaranteed ratio and the huge roster guaranteed ratio. So it's a real problem. And okay, listen, I'm not against Canadian old linemen. There are a few, Calgary has a couple, Hamilton has one or two, and there's a couple more, but they're few and far between. And then the other better Canadian old linemen, or on par, whatever, they're in the NFL. So, like I said, like Dave Naylor said, how does this sell CFL 3-down football? Well, it doesn't. When the best, like right now, look at the Edmonton receivers; they're all leaving because of the NFL window back in, and the only one-year contracts. Okay, that both got to go. Like I said in my last session. And Rosie just brought this back in, the NFL window. Look at them going in droves. Like, there's over 20 players now, and all the good players, American players, are being deleted and watering down the talent pool in the CFL. Okay, and there's like not Dave Naylor, but Mr. Lawless said, and the top Canadian players, that are top Canadian linemen that are desperately in the CFL, okay, to fill the guaranteed starting ratio. That shouldn't be there. It doesn't belong in professional sports. Like I've gone on. This is why the CFL is in big trouble with the XFL and the Alliance Football League coming in. They're not going to be able to attract American players. There's no way. Okay, because of the Canadian ratio. Because American players, they come up and they're sent home, or they make the team and they're sitting on the bench because they have to. CFL teams are forced to play Canadian players, even if they're not even good enough to start, which is happening in the CFL now, or to be on a roster. Half the roster's got to be Canadian. Okay, so they're forced to play them. It's like that person said on CFL.ca. There's no way the CFL is supposed to be a professional football league. Should be the coaches should decide who starts and plays on the field. MLS soccer have a 3 Canadian roster ratio, just 3 player. That's all. And like Glenn Souther says, the players that want to play in the CFL that are Canadian, put them on a practice roster and develop them. But the CFL can't go down this path anymore, and the owners got to stand tall. Like I said, they have to stand tall and unite and bring the American players in too, because they're being screwed. And Nick Lewis, what he said on Twitter about the Canadian ratio is he's 100% right. They got to join together. And Brosie, you're in with the Canadian Players Association. You're on their side. It's obvious. You were one of them. You guys, the owners and the American players, bring them down. Shut your franchise down. Lock them out. This has got to stop, this Canadian ratio foolishness. It's ridiculous. And it's got to go. And it's got to end now. The Canadian starter ratio has got to be abolished, and the Canadian roster ratio has got to be dramatically reduced or eliminated, to allow the best available players to start and play in the CFL at every position for entire CFL game. I keep stressing that point. It's so important. It's like Jamie Nine said, because you want to, that allows our CFL game to be played at the highest level with the best available players. That's what has to happen. And the only way it's going to happen is the Canadian starter ratio has got to go. And the Canadian guaranteed roster ratio has got to go too. It's got to be eliminated. And my CFL Red Zone rule, okay, like the combo, with the best available players starting and playing in the CFL at every position for entire CFL game, then the CFL's got a product to sell, okay? And then they compete in today's professional sports world, okay? And listen, okay, like Canadian old linemen. I got nothing against Canadian old linemen, okay? If you want to play in the CFL, make the team. Make the team, like the American players have to. If you're good enough, make the team. If you're good enough to start, make a starting position on the CFL. Don't be automatically handed your starting position like you are now. Canadian old linemen that can't, there's too many cases that can't protect our star CFL quarterbacks that have no business being on CFL field. And they're only there because their passport and the guaranteed Canadian ratio, which got to go, okay? All right? And by the way, these guaranteed Canadian O-linemen and other guaranteed players that are playing in the CFL, starting and on a CFL roster that are guaranteed, the Canadian O-linemen making $200,000 and $250,000. Can you imagine? Because of their guaranteed starter ratio. Okay? That the Canadian Players Association and keeping made up. He's a Canadian guaranteed ratio O-lineman. You know, what's going on here? Who's running the CFL? It's obvious who's running the CFL. Okay? And like that's so important to stress that. And also, one other thing I want to say to put this Canadian ratio to bed. Listen to this now. This is how bad it is. And a lot of people out there, you don't understand the Canadian ratio, you don't know anything about it. And thank God I brought it to the table. Okay? And now that you know, I've covered it all. And here's the real big killer too. Here's what happens. Just like in the Western Final, my son was two of the Eskimos and the Stampeders. Here's what happens. And this is what every CFL game, with every CFL team struggles with. Okay? Every game. They have to, with injuries, it makes it way worse. They have better American players sitting on the bench, not even allowed to play them. That's during every CFL game because of the Canadian ratio. They're going to play weaker Canadian players out there that don't belong. And it's happening in every CFL team, every CFL game. Because they're guaranteed their starting position, 7 guaranteed, and half the roster's got to be Canadian. Okay? Guaranteed. Can you imagine? So every CFL game, every CFL playoff game, and in the Grey Cup, top American players aren't playing. Can you imagine? Why are they on the team if you can't play them? Because of the bloody Canadian ratio. That's got to go. It's got to go. Okay? This is ridiculous. That's how ridiculous the Canadian ratio is. And it's Mickey Mouse. And it's old school. And it's got to go, Ambrosi. And you're in there with the Canadian Players Association. So I think you got to go. Bring back Mark Cohen. You got to go. Break their union. Well, it's not a union. Canadian Players Association made up of Canadian O-linemen. Okay, like Ambrosi. Get rid of Ambrosi, bring in Mark Cohen back, and get rid of the Canadian ratio and break their association. Break them. Owners, okay, break them. With American players, join with the CFL owners and bring them down. Break their association. Okay? Put the boots to them. Really, truly. This got to stop. It's got to stop. It's unbelievable. The CFL is going to continue to lose more fans, lose more season ticket holders, and there's going to be even more empty seats. It's embarrassing enough. It's brutal. Just look at the empty seats. That's some backdrop to sell CFL 3-down football. So that's okay on the ratio, Canadian ratio, and I had to go over that again because it's really, really important, okay, to get that out there. That's how bad it is. It's really, really bad. And every sports fan in Canada got to know about it. I guarantee you all the NFL only fans in Canada, and there's unbelievable amount of them. Like the 3-Down Nation report. Can you imagine? And the NFL ratings overall too, by the way, were up 12% in Canada, up 22 or 23% in the playoff, well, their championships and NFC and AFC championship games. And like I went over how bad the Eastern and Western Final. Imagine down 30% the Western Final, down 50% the Eastern Final. Can you imagine? There it is in a nutshell, and that's exactly what I'm saying. And in my survey I found the Canadian ratio's got to go. And by the way, in my survey, what can be eliminated? My CFL Red Zone rules, and they're by the way, the biggest killer of our CFL game, 3-down game itself, and that's too many boring, predictable, non-eventful, okay, easy chip shots, field goals in the red zone. And you know why? Because of too many unappealing second down stops in the red zone, okay? What are two biggest killers and two biggest turnouts of our game that my CFL red zone will eliminate completely, remarkably eliminate completely, okay? And with my CFL red zone kick, what an unbelievable attached feature that does it all. And with my CFL red zone rule, what's so fantastic about it, it still preserves that CFL 3-down game. So we need the combo. We need my CFL red zone rule, okay? And we need, okay, the Canadian starter ratio to be eliminated and the roster guaranteed Canadian roster ratio to be eliminated, volleys too. to allow the best available players, like Jamie Nine said, to play on every CFL team, okay, to start and play at every position for entire CFL 3-down game. That's what we need. Then you got a product to sell, okay? I can't put any more emphasis on that. Then it's unbelievable how important it is, and it's got to happen, or the CFL is in big trouble with the XFL and the Lions Football League coming in. They're in big trouble, and like I said, they're going to go down. Seriously, and I just want to talk a little about the Atlantic Schooners, okay? Because I think you'd like to hear a little bit about that as well. I just want to check before I do. I just want to check to see. Oh yeah, I just want to mention in Randy Brosie's 2.0, it was so embarrassing that. Imagine Sutherland, the GM, and Moss, the coach from Edmonton Eskimos, they didn't even go down, okay? They didn't even go down. Either the Jim Pop, GM for the Argonauts, either the, of course, Jones, he took off, okay? Can you imagine, sign an extension contract with the Riders, and then a week later go to the Cleveland Browns. That's just unbelievable, Ambrosie. And you're to blame the CFL for that. That's ridiculous. And for a lot that's going on wrong with the CFL right now. So yeah, they didn't even go to the Mickey, I guess they called it, it was a waste of time to go the Randy and Brosie's Mexican draft. I think you should be looking after your own ship back here, Mr. Ambrosie, like in Montreal and Toronto, okay, in BC, and all through the CFL, okay, with all the empty seats, and stop covering up the Canadian racial problem. And by the way, yeah, I want to talk about what you did to me. Okay, yeah, it's right here now. I want to talk about it now that I have it here. See if I can find it before. Yeah, when I was talking about, okay, the importance of respect, trust, and integrity, the importance of that, which you need to earn. And I got mixed up and tied up in that in knots, and I didn't present that very well. But I'm going to present it better now. Which you and Brosie did demonstrate or earn with which I said, I did say this part, with the dealings I had with you in relation to my CFL Red Zone rule proposal and the important survey I did, that you didn't even acknowledge, Mr. Ambrosie. Mr. Ambrosie, you need to earn, like I said, respect and credibility, okay? And you don't earn it, by the way, Mr. Ambrosie, being egotistical and being pompous, okay, and manipulative and deceitful, okay, like you were at my CFL Red Zone Bowl, okay? So, Mr. Ambrosie, because, Mr. Ambrosie, why? Because you, Mr. Ambrosie, in the CFL didn't come up with my CFL Red Zone rule yourself. Is that why? Like Mr. Armitage said, is that why? How supercilious is that? Okay? That's a nice word, isn't it? But it explains him so well, okay, and perfectly, okay? So I'm going to go back to, I don't want to say okay anymore. I want to try to curve it like I said, but I'm making some good points here. I want to talk now about what's going on with the Atlantic Schooners, okay? Because I think it's very important that you know what's really going on. I know a counselor in my district, okay, that's for the stadium, but guess what? There's more councils against the stadium. So there was one on Rick Howe's show the other day, and of course he's another naysayer, and he's pompous and egotistical, and he has no vision. Okay, sounds like Mr. Ambrosie, right? And so he got on there and said, "No, I'm not for the stadium." It's just like Wayne Mason. This was Craig. Wayne Mason's same way. He's a clown, a real jerk. I don't want to get into it with him. Also, there's others there. I can name them. Yeah. Oh yeah. Out hit in Bedford. Yeah. Yeah. He's a real twit. He's against it too. Like they haven't done any of their homework. I told him in an email, go out to Regina, learn something about the importance of a CFL franchise to your capital city in Nova Scotia, a growing capital city like in Halifax. Learn something, but they're just so pompous and boneheads. They're boneheads. Anyway, So that's the problem. And by the way, when they had the press conference here, like when they announced like their season ticket drive without a stadium, imagine that, without approval of a stadium, they're jumping ahead of themselves, aren't they? And guess what? I'm down, and Brosie's there with LeBlanc. The Mayor Savage isn't even there. He's not there. One councillor was there, Whitman, and he's against it. So big trouble here, big trouble, and Blanc, you know, Mr. LeBlanc, okay, one of the people involved in the franchise with Mr. Drummond for Halifax, Atlantic Schooners franchise for Halifax. LeBlanc said on radio just a few weeks ago, he said they were going to announce, okay, where the Touchdown Atlantic was going to be. Nothing's happening. And it's got to be in Halifax somehow, but they'd have to spend about 1.5 million just on the makeshift stadium. So it's probably going to go to Moncton. That's not good when you're trying to bring a franchise to Halifax. That's not going to work. That's not going to sell, but they'd have to do it on the Wanderers grounds, or they'd have to do it in St. Mary's somehow. It's a big project, a makeshift stadium of 15 to 18,000. That's a lot of money involved, but he's taken it on, but nothing's happened, no announcement. He said he was going to present their final financial plan presentation to HRM. They haven't done that yet apparently, so that's something we don't know. So nothing's happening, and I'll tell you the truth, I told one of the naysayer councillors, why don't you just tell them to get out of town so they can go to Quebec City, because they would, and they welcome them with open arms. So that's the real truth, what's going on. Okay, so I'm running out of time now, so I want to talk about, okay, all right, what's going to happen, okay? All right, see that banner down there? It's my new banner. I don't know if you can read it or not. My son, we're going to have that at the Grey Cup. We're going to have my megaphone, okay, brochures, CFL hats we're going to be wearing. We're going to have a team. We'll hopefully get a gathering when we get Facebook up at the Grey Cup in Calgary, the 107th Grey Cup. We can have a little workshop because we want to get people, by that time, hopefully we'll have thousands of people, okay, supporting Spyder CFL Red Zone rule and behind it, and chanting loud at Touchdown Atlantic here in Halifax. Okay, I'm going to do a blitz on radio on it. Okay, they hear thousands of people chanting loud at Touchdown Atlantic and at the great 107th Grey Cup in Calgary. We want Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. We want Spyder CFL Red Zone rule, and we can do it. We can do it. We got to be loud. We got to be heard, because the CFL fan voice, the sports fan voice is so important, and I got to build momentum here and get a lot more followers, okay, and support behind my CFL Red Zone rule. And it's very, very important, okay? So we can make a big splash and we can be heard and chant loud in the red zone at Touchdown Atlantic and in Calgary, the 107th Grey Cup, okay? Thousands of people chanting loud. Can you imagine, okay, right across the years, across Canada, around the football world, chanting loud, we want Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. We want Spyder CFL Red Zone rule. We got to rev up our engine, okay? We got to really rev our engine up, okay? Get it out there, okay? We got to do it.